Hey everybody, welcome into Folklore and Flourish. I hope you're all having an amazing day today. And Mark, happy birthday. Yes, I just wanted to say happy birthday to my partner and my best friend, Mark. It is August 12th. We are here with the Celestial Gate today. Mark has such an exciting birthday, and so we made the theme all about the messages from the cosmos. So our lesson today is that destiny travels through the sky. So I chose 4 really great stories per usual today, but since it is your birthday, Mark, I chose one that I really enjoyed. It's a little bit more about longing than anything, but you'll see it in the very first story with the Greek. And then we get into Chinese, Norse, and Lakota folklore today. We get to see a little bit of the moon rabbit too, since you were curious as to why I made a picture with a rabbit jumping around the moon. But I'm just so excited for your birthday today. It is week 2. The sun is in full, and we are focused on the celestial gate tonight with this new moon that we are going to see, as well as Perseus falling. The Perseids, I don't know exactly the term of that constellation. But alas, the Greek hero is falling. We're following our theme of the story that we are writing. I'm very excited. We got another section done, so we are officially at the final parts of our book. I'm so excited for that. And then we are in the final stages of editing, and we will be releasing that Greek story to you guys. Hope you all love the sea adventures. But no, it is not Odysseus. Rather, it is a bunch of people we've been taught are heroes, and unfortunately, we're going to kind of show the light. We are not changing a whole bunch of the stories, which is fun. All we're doing is saying, look at the pattern, right? But yes, I don't know. I'm so excited. I just have so much going on that I'm going to go do. I get to go do, and then I get to go get ready. And then I'm just excited for Mark to come home and open his gift and enjoy his gifts. And I don't know, just to hug him and kiss him and, all silly goose stuff when you love somebody. It's just ridiculous. Anyways, with the 4 stories that I've already mentioned today, one last time is going to be Greek, Chinese, Norse, and Lakota. Some great celestial lessons from the cosmos, as well as destiny traveling through the skies, or destiny is traveling. Just because heroes may be falling tonight does not mean that that is it. Does not mean that's the whole story. But tonight, we are going to look for the moon or stars and pause long enough to make one silent wish. That's the great thing about stars, is that you don't have to be superstitious. You don't have to believe in the quote unquote witchy stuff. How many rational people see a shooting star and still make a wish? How many people that don't believe in witchcraft, don't believe in whatever pagan, holistic, whatever things you want to call it, yet they still make a wish when they see messages from the sky? We get to think about that today, so you do not have to be like a believer in anything other than yourself tonight when you look up at those stars. And it might just make you realize that it's pretty big out there, right? There's no way that there isn't some grand source. Okay? So we're going to acknowledge the sky as a living messenger rather than a backdrop. Living messenger rather than a backdrop. It's so easy to say that it's just stars. It's just this vast space. It's the water above, just as we have water below. But it's so much more than that. It's so much more than that. And it's terrifying, and it's beautiful, and it is humbling. And today, though, when we see those messages, they're for us. It doesn't matter if there are a billion eyes watching that same shooting star, the falling constellations, whatever it may be, it's still meant for us. And you're going to see a little bit of that in these stories today. And then you get to enjoy that with the sky. If it's, cloudy, if it's hard to see the sky for whatever reason, cloudy, light, just try your best. Okay. See if we have so much so much within our grasp. You can use your phone even to look it up, whatever it may be. But Try to go outside if you can. And lastly, remain attentive today to subtle guidance instead of waiting for certainty. I've come to know actually that there really isn't indefinite certainty with a lot of stuff, and you can't wait for it. But I don't know, that's something that's very exciting too, because it's that little bit of life being so uncertain that makes it very meaningful. And just like Mark, you told me today, and I hope all of you do this too, is just live in the moment, enjoy today, enjoy the people around you. I hope that you all get so much love and attention today. I hope that you enjoy the messages sent to you from above. And I hope you realize how special you are. Every single one of you, especially you. I'll see you guys later. Enjoy August 12th with the Celestial Gate. Before we begin, I want to take a moment to honor the cultures behind the stories we are about to explore. The tales shared here come from many peoples, lands, and traditions. I do not change these stories to fit modern expectations or to align with today's social standards. Instead, I present them as they were told, sometimes beautiful, sometimes harsh, sometimes challenging. We are not here to judge the past, but to understand it, to listen, to learn, and to honor the ancestors who carried these stories forward. We also share stories from various religious traditions. These are presented in their historical and spiritual context, with respect for their beliefs that they represent. Every culture deserves respect, context, and acknowledgement, and this space is dedicated to doing exactly that. August 12th, The Celestial Gate. Story 1, Selene and Endymion, the moon who came down to earth. When night settled over the ancient Greek world and the brilliance of day disappeared beyond the horizon, another divine light began her journey across the heavens. She was Selene, the goddess and personification of the moon. Ancient poets imagined her rising from the ocean, luminous and beautiful, driving a chariot through the darkness with shining horses carrying her across the sky. A crescent moon sometimes crowned her head, and her pale radiance washed mountains, fields, and sleeping cities in silver. Yet one place on earth repeatedly drew the celestial goddess away from her path. There, according to one of Greece's most enduring lunar traditions, slept a beautiful mortal named Endymion. Ancient accounts disagree about exactly who Endymion was. Some remember him as a shepherd, others as a hunter or king, but many placed him in a cave on Mount Latmos in Asia Minor. Selene saw him sleeping there and fell deeply in love. Night after night, the moon goddess descended from heaven to visit him. But Endymion's sleep was unlike ordinary sleep. In different versions of the tradition, Zeus granted him the ability to choose his fate, and Endymion chose eternal sleep so that he would remain forever young. Other tellings connect his unending sleep directly with Selene, allowing the goddess to preserve the mortal she loved untouched by age and death. And so, Endymion remained suspended between ordinary life and eternity, sleeping while Selene continued her endless passage through the heavens. Later traditions even credited the pair with 50 daughters, sometimes interpreted as corresponding to the roughly 50 lunar months within the cycle connecting lunar and solar calendars. The love story became inseparable from the moon's own rhythm. Selene travels, disappears, returns, and still finds Endymion waiting beneath her light. Yet there is something haunting within the romance. Selene possesses immortality, but Endymion does not. To preserve the beautiful moments she loves, time itself must almost stop around him. The myth captures a longing human being known remarkably well. The myth captures a longing human beings know remarkably well. The desire to keep something precious exactly as it is. A face before it ages, a night before morning arrives, a love before circumstances change it, a life before time carries it somewhere new. But Selene herself cannot remain still. Whatever happens below, the moon must continue crossing the sky. Perhaps that contradiction is why their story endured. The goddess of cycles falls in love with a man who does not change. One moves eternally, the other sleeps eternally. Above Mount Latmos, celestial motion and mortal stillness meet beneath the same silver light. For ancient observers watching the moon travel night after night, Selene and Endymion transformed that distant glow into something intimate. The moon was no longer merely hanging in the darkness. Somewhere beyond human sight, perhaps, she was traveling towards someone she loved. Story 2, The Moon Rabbit and the Gift That Reached the Sky. Look closely at the full moon and its shadows begin to take shape. For generations in China, people looking upward have imagined among those markings the figure of a rabbit, forever dwelling in the lunar realm. This is the jade rabbit, Yutu, one of the most beloved figures associated with the Chinese moon. Yet the rabbit did not simply wander into the heavens. One traditional story explains that his place there began with a test of character. Long ago, a powerful heavenly being disguised himself as an old and starving traveler and descended to earth. Hungry and exhausted, he approached several animals and begged them for something to eat. Among them were a monkey, a fox, and a rabbit. The animals scattered in search of food. The monkey returned with fruit gathered from the trees. The fox found food it could offer the stranger. But the rabbit searched the grasses and forest floor and found nothing suitable for a human being to eat. It had no fruit to gather, no meal to hunt, no treasure hidden away. It possessed only itself, refusing to allow the old traveler to remain hungry. The rabbit gathered grass and branches and built a fire. Then it turned toward the stranger and offered the only gift it believed remained, its own body as food. The rabbit leapt toward the flames, but it was never consumed. The mysterious traveler revealed his divine nature and stopped the sacrifice. Astonished by a generosity that asked for nothing in return, the heavenly being honored the rabbit by placing its image upon the moon, where humanity could look upward and remember its selflessness. Chinese lunar tradition carried the rabbit even further. Yutu became closely associated with Chang'e, the goddess who dwells upon the moon after consuming an elixir of immortality. There, beneath the pale lunar light, the jade rabbit is often depicted standing beside a mortar and pestle, endlessly pounding ingredients associated with the elixir of immortality. In poetry, paintings, festival imagery, and later folklore, the rabbit became inseparable from the moon itself. During the Mid-Autumn Festival, when families gather beneath the full moon, stories of Chang'e and Yutu belong to a much larger world of reunion, longing, abundance, immortality, and celestial wonder. The rabbit's story is particularly powerful because he reaches heaven without seeking it. He does not perform his act because he knows a God is watching. He believes an ordinary hungry stranger stands before him. His place among the stars comes only afterward. The moon therefore becomes a kind of celestial memory. Every time its markings resemble the shape of a rabbit, the ancient story asks the observer to remember an act performed when no reward was expected. Somewhere within those silver shadows, Yutu continues working beneath the moonlight, his mortar rising and falling, while the gift that once seemed destined to disappear into a small earthly fire has instead been remembered across centuries. Story 3, Máni and the Wolves Who Chased the Moon. Every night the moon crosses the sky, but in Norse mythology its journey is anything but peaceful. The moon is Máni, a divine figure condemned to travel the heavens while something terrifying follows close behind. His story begins with a mortal father named Mundilfari, who had 2 children so beautiful that he named them after the lights of heaven. His daughter was called Sol, the sun, and his son, Máni, the moon. According to the Prose Edda, the gods considered his prideful naming an offense. They took the siblings and placed them in the heavens, giving them responsibility for guiding the sun and moon across the sky. From that moment, Máni's life became celestial motion. He governed the moon's path in its waxing and waning, helping humanity measure the passage of time. Yet Máni did not travel alone. Two children named Hioki and Bil were once walking from a well called Birgir, carrying a vessel of water between them. Máni saw the children from the heavens and took them from the earth, and afterward they accompanied him across the sky. Ancient storytellers even connected them with markings visible upon the moon, transforming familiar shadows overhead into travelers caught within Máni's strange celestial journey. But behind them came the wolves, a monstrous wolf named Hati Hrotvitnissen, pursues Máni through the heavens. Another wolf, Skull, is associated with the pursuit of the sun. Their chase gives the sky a sense of danger that never completely disappears. The sun and moon move because something is always following. Each night, Máni escapes, and each night, Hati continues the hunt. To someone watching the moon disappearing behind clouds or darkness, the old story could make the heavens themselves feel alive with pursuit. Then comes Ragnarok, the foretold destruction and renewal of the cosmos. The chase that has lasted across the ages finally reaches its terrible conclusion. The wolves catch the heavenly lights. In the Prose Edda, the sun is swallowed, while traditions surrounding Hati describe the moon's pursuer finally overtaking his prey. The heavens darken, stars disappear, the earth shakes, and the familiar order of the world begins to collapse. Yet Norse cosmology does not end with darkness. After catastrophe comes renewal. A new earth rises, survivors emerge, and the cosmic story continues beyond the destruction of the old world. Máni's journey therefore belongs to something larger than a simple explanation for the moon's movement. The moon becomes a celestial clock running beneath pressure, crossing the darkness while destiny follows behind it. Night after night, people could look upward and see that the chase had not yet ended. Máni was still there, the wolf was still behind him, and the moon was still moving. Story 4. The Lakota and the Sacred Map in the Stars. Long before maps were printed on paper, the night sky could carry knowledge. Among the Lakota, stars were not merely distant points scattered across darkness. Celestial patterns could be understood in relationship with the land below, ceremonial life, seasonal movement, and the sacred order of existence. One of the most remarkable traditions preserved within Lakota star knowledge describes a relationship between constellations overhead and places within the Black Hills, the He Sapa, a landscape of profound sacred importance to the Lakota. The sky and earth were not necessarily imagined as two unrelated realms. Patterns above could correspond with patterns below, creating what scholars working with Lakota knowledge keepers have described as a kind of mirroring between heaven and earth. Each spring, as particular stars appeared in particular positions, people could recognize that a season of movement and ceremony was arriving. Among the celestial patterns important within these traditions was Ta-Yam-Ni, often translated as the animal or associated with the great celestial being whose stars overlap portions of what Western astronomy divides into several constellations. Rather than seeing the sky through the familiar Greek figures printed on modern star charts, Lakota observers inherited their own celestial geography. The stars formed beings, pathways, and relationships whose meanings belonged to Lakota cosmology. As the seasonal sky changed, movement upon the earth could correspond with it. Sacred places within and around the Black Hills were visited in an order connected with celestial appearances, so that human beings traveled through the landscape while the stars traveled overhead. One important destination within this ceremonial geography was Mato Tipila, commonly known today as Devil's Tower, a site sacred to several Plains nations and associated with star traditions and ceremony. The larger pattern created something extraordinary. People were not simply standing beneath the cosmos and preparing messages sent down from somewhere impossibly distant. They were moving within a world that included the sky. A star's appearance could correspond with season. A place on earth could echo a celestial pattern. Ceremony could bring human movement into relationship with both. Knowledge therefore required attention. You had to know when to look. You had to remember what had appeared before. You had to understand the land beneath your feet as carefully as the heavens above your head. In this world view, the night sky was not empty space waiting to be explained. It was part of a living network of relationships. Stars carried memory because generations had watched them. Places carried meaning because generations had returned to them. The connection survived through people who remembered both. When the Lakota ancestors looked upward, they were not necessarily asking the modern question, what is out there? The more intimate question was how the heavens belonged to the world already surrounding them. The answers could be found by walking, watching, remembering, and returning when the stars indicated that the season had come again. Daily thread for August 12th. What is the universe trying to tell me? Human beings have always looked upward when searching for meaning. Long before telescopes could reveal distant galaxies, or spacecraft could cross the darkness between worlds, the night sky was already a place of stories, calendars, warnings, promises, memories, and questions. Tonight's traditions remind us that the heavens did not speak with one universal voice. Different peoples looked toward the same moon and stars and discovered entirely different ways of understanding what they saw. Selene crossed the Greek night to visit the eternally sleeping Endymion, transforming the moon into a symbol of longing, cycles, and the strange human desire to preserve what we love against the movement of time. In China, the jade rabbit became visible within the shadows of the moon, carrying a story of generosity so profound the storytellers imagined its memory written permanently across the heavens. In the Norse world, Máni raced through darkness with a wolf pursuing him, turning the moon's journey into part of a cosmos moving relentlessly toward destiny. And within Lakota star knowledge, the heavens could exist in relationship with the sacred landscape below. With celestial patterns, seasons, movement, ceremony, and memory belonging to an interconnected world. None of these traditions looked upward and saw emptiness. They saw relationship. Perhaps that is why the night sky continues to stir something within us, even when we understand the science behind it. We know what the moon is made of. We can calculate an eclipse centuries into the future. We can name the stars by temperature, distance, composition, and age. Yet knowing what something is does not exhaust the question of what it can mean to us. A full moon can still make someone stop walking. A meteor can still pull a wish from a person who insists they are not superstitious. A constellation can still remind someone of a person who once taught them its name. The universe does not have to rearrange itself into a supernatural message for the sky to tell us something. Sometimes the message emerges through the attention we bring to it. Looking upward interrupts the smallness of the moment. Suddenly, the argument, deadline, fear, or uncertainty occupying our entire mind exists beneath a sky that has witnessed generations come and go. That perspective alone can change us. So tonight, instead of demanding an answer from the cosmos, simply pay attention. Look at the moon if she is visible. Find a star. Notice the darkness between them. Allow one wish, question, memory, or possibility to rise without immediately explaining it away. Perhaps nothing extraordinary will happen. Perhaps that is not the point. For thousands of years, our ancestors looked toward these same celestial lights and found reasons to remember, travel, wonder, hope, and begin again. We are still beneath their sky, and sometimes the first step toward recognizing a message is becoming quiet enough to notice what awakens within us when we finally look up.